So we packed up from Natural Bridges National Monument and we took 261 over to Gooseneck State Park. That was a fun drive. It was a few miles of gravel road on 261 with some really sharp turns to it. And here at Gooseneck, we've got a spot and there's a beautiful view. Let me show you. It's quite the sight. That river really dug that canyon out of there. So that road we just took was Moki Dugway, and we're at a point now where it's a side road that goes to a place called Muley Point. Don't know a whole lot about it. It's supposed to be scenic, so we're gonna go check it out. So the drive up to Muley Point wasn't really bad at all. There were campsites for boondocking along the way up here, and it's got an incredible view. So right now we're at the Hovenweep Visitor Center. Gonna go check that out, and then later on we're gonna take a drive on the other side, Canyon of the Ancients. Hovenweep is a Paiute and Ute word meaning deserted valley. And it was given this name by photographer William H. Jackson when he visited here in 1874. So here at Hovenweep, we're going to take the Square Tower Trail. And there's going to be a number of sites along the way. Stronghold House, Tower Point, Hovenweep Castle. A number of things that will show the life, the living quarters, say, of ancestral pueblos. So here we go.
This is the Stronghold House. It was named because it looked like it was built to defend something, but there's no evidence that it was ever defending anything. They might have just been building it for the terrain or with what materials were available. And this is actually the upper story. There's a lower story down in the canyon that has eroded away and is just rubble. And to get into it, people would climb into toe holds and hand holds. And then over to the right is the Stronghold Tower, and that was part of it. And it had a wooden support, which you can see towards the bottom, that has eroded away, and that was holding up the tower. So as that eroded away, the tower rubble is down in the canyon. So these are what they call the twin towers. There's two buildings that they almost touch, but they don't. In between the two, they had 16 rooms, and one is an oval and one is a horseshoe shape. And they are some of the most outstanding examples of the ancestral Puebloan building in the Southwest. So this is the Rimrock House, and even though it's called a house, there's no evidence that people actually ever lived there because there's no division into rooms. It stands 2 stories tall, it's rectangular, and then there's little holes in the walls, like peepholes. So it might have been used for defense, and those were to see people coming at them, or maybe animals. And then to the left is the round tower, and it's perfectly circular, and it stood 2 stories high. So down in the canyon stands the 2-story square tower, and it's built on a large sandstone boulder and in a slight spiral shape that could be for strength or just could be for aesthetics. There's a single T-shaped door that faces to the west, and it looks like there was another doorway that faced the spring at the head of the canyon. A kiva was excavated beside the tower, but unlike other areas where they had a tower and a kiva, they were not connected by a tunnel. And all the trees down there just show that that's where the spring was, and that's what sustained the life in the square house settlement. So this is Hovenweep Castle, and it consists of 2 D-shaped towers that are perched on the rim of this little ruined canyon. The stone walls are 2 to 3 courses thick and show detailed masonry techniques. There is wood inside, and the growth rings on the wooden beam indicate that the log was cut in 1277 CE, Common Era. So it's one of the latest dates on any structure in the San Juan area. And this is the Hovenweep House. It is the center of one of the largest Pueblo villages in the Square Tower group. What's left is standing on solid sandstone bedrock. The rest of it has crumbled away, but you can see the former rooms and the layout, so they know how this is the house. So the Hovenweep House and the Hovenweep Castle and the other ones, they show that the masons that built them took great pains to put them together. Some of them were packed on the surface. They also seen that same technique at Mesa Verde. And then they put small flat rocks into the chinks to mortar the joints, and then they may have been covered with very thick layers of a clay-based plaster to hold them together.
So Hovenweep National Monument proved to be a great place to get out and wander. There was a 2-mile loop that we did from the visitor center. It had a number of ancestral Puebloan villages, buildings along the way, and it was very nice. A place that I'd recommend. Off we go to the next spot. Good morning. It's March 31st, and we're going to get out and wander today at a place called San Pueblo. It's an archaeological site. The natives lived here approximately 1245 AD, and it was excavated and then reburied to help preserve it. It's only a 100-yard walk, but then there's also some trails that we're going to check out too. So this is the northeast edge of the Pueblo. There was a village, a low wall enclosed on 3 sides. It was built in a U shape surrounding a small spring. So here's another view of the Pueblo, and it's hard to really imagine what it looks like. It's mostly rubble. So that was Sand Canyon Pueblo. They, as I said, they excavated some of it and recovered it to try to preserve it for future. We're going to go next to Lowry Pueblo, and it is going to be somewhat more developed or rebuilt. We're going to go see how much, and we'll take you there. In 1965, this site was registered as a National Historic Landmark. So the first kiva here was actually a 4-room core, and then eventually got expanded to a 40-room building. So here's a rendition of what the pueblo looked like when it was fully developed. There were roughly 40 families living here at one time. Well, that was quite interesting, seeing all the development of that pueblo. It showed rooms. At one spot you could walk inside and see individual kivas where the families lived, and now there's another walk down here to the Great Kiva. So the Great Kiva was used for community activities and ceremonies. In the bottom of the kiva, there's some stone structures which held up wooden posts from the roof. But there was a visitor from Santa Clara Pueblo who really interpreted the layout and design of these are winter and summer people. Well, that site is highly recommended. Both the Sand Canyon Pueblo and this Lowry Pueblo are part of Canyons of the Ancient. There is a visitor center for Canyons of the Ancient off of 491 north of Cortez. We did visit it. Very interesting. Lots of things to see there. So another point of interest for you. Highly recommend that spot too. So we had a pleasant day today visiting the Pueblos, Lowry, and Sand Canyon. And now we're going to wrap it up for the day. We decided to stay at Hovenweep National Monument Campground. It's a really nice campground. There's limited spaces here. It's got a bathroom, some running water. You've got a picnic table with some shade for the summertime heat, fire ring. And from the site that we have right now, we have a beautiful view of the Sleeping Ute Mountains, and I believe the highest one is Ute Peak. So that's a wrap. See you tomorrow. So that wraps up our adventures in the Four Corners region. We had a great time. On the way here, we stopped at Great Sand Dunes. Then we hit Mesa Verde, Hovenweep, Natural Bridges, Monument Valley, Gooseneck State Park, Mexican Hat Rocks. We did the Moki Dugway up to Muley Point. Everything that we've seen, it was just all fantastic. We had great weather too. From here, we're going to head to Leadville and find this place that sells a pullover that you can only purchase in store. And from there up to Longmont, do an upgrade on the camper, and then head back east to home. Hope you enjoyed any of our videos, and always remember, get out and wander. See ya.